WiSP Sports Radio, the voice of women in sport.
Hello, and thank you for downloading this holiday special series where we chat to some of the WiSP ambassadors about their year as they look back at the highlights and stories, and we'll also hear what they're looking forward to in 2020. I'm Chris Stafford, and today I'm chatting to Abby Ehler, Offshore Sailor and one of the founders of the Magenta Project, and she's also the host of the Sailing Show podcast that we do in partnership with the Magenta Project here on WiSP Sports. We'll hear from Abby about some of her sailing highlights in 2019 and what she's looking forward to in 2020. Abby, nice to talk to you again. You've had a lot of sailing this year, busy year for you.
Yeah, hi Chris. Funny enough, it turned into a year that's been a lot more sailing than initially was planned. So that's been fantastic, and it's been great to get back into the TP52 class, which is a very competitive one design fleet. It's a fleet that I was part of a number of years ago, and it's been great to dive back into that world and to continue sort of learning so much about sailing in general, and just about, your particular role that you do on board, and surrounded by a great team and great competition. So that's been fantastic. A little bit of offshore as well with a boat called a Gear, and we did the Rolex Transatlantic race back in June, which left from Newport in Rhode Island and came across to Cowes in the Isle of Wight, and then the Fastnet race and the Middle Sea race. So yeah, that's been fantastic. And then topped off with another transatlantic just a couple of weeks ago from Brazil back to France on an Open 60. So yeah, that was very exciting to do my first bit of sailing on a semi-foiling boat. So it's been great, a great year.
Quite a mix then of different types of sailing for you.
Yeah, it has been. Yeah, which I think, I went into that Open 60 sailing, the last delivery that I've just done. I mean, I went into that very apprehensive about the boat and not really understanding that discipline of sailing, and it's a very different beast compared to the usual monohulls. But I came away from it thinking, well, it is still sailing, and the rudimentaries of sailing are just making a boat go fast, pointing it in the right direction, trimming the sails, whatever it might be. And I guess that's the case for any aspect of sailing. It really is, the basics are all the same across the board. It's just refined between offshore, inshore, dinghies, foiling boats. So yeah.
Do you have a preference then now, because you have so much experience on so many different types over the years? Do you have a preference, or are there new boats and new types of boats that coming up that present new challenges? So it's ever changing.
The sport in general is definitely sort of moving with technology. That the foiling classes are definitely on the up, and that seems to be a very appealing. Just the technology that's involved, the speed that's involved, it from a spectator point of view, it kind of makes it a bit more fast and furious. So I think that there's a lot of future in the sport on the foiling aspect, and we're seeing a lot of the races, a lot of starting to go that way. I think also there's been a big change with the Olympics of accepting an offshore class, which will happen for 2020. For 2024, I think it is, for the Paris Games. So that's kind of ruffled a few feathers within the sailing world, that the offshore has made it into the Olympics, which has generally been reserved for dinghy classes. So there's definitely a lot of change, a lot of variety in the sailing world, which I think is great. It's I think change is a good thing, although a lot of people haven't embraced some of the changes, and yeah, well, it'd be a great to see, just to see where the sport progresses in the next few years.
Well, that's interesting. You mentioned the new class for Olympics in 2024. What brought that about then, to have an offshore? Because that seems to be a whole different world, very different to dinghy sailing.
Yeah, I'm not entirely sure what prompted that, that being put forward as a class. Maybe it was about trying to, or actually, I think one of the reasons was because they're trying to make 2024 gender equal in terms of 50-50 men to women. So they couldn't make that happen, I think, it was in the dinghy classes. And one way of doing that was to bring in this offshore boat, and it'll be 2 up, one man, 1 woman. So I think that was partly how it came about. I think it was hotly contested as it went to vote as to whether it should replace the dinghy classes. I think there's pros and cons for both, obviously, but it's, I think, from my aim, I've never really been a dinghy sailor and love the big boats. So from my point of view, I like the fact that that's been brought in. I think it will just bring a different element to our sport. And there are so many people that are involved in offshore sailing, in big boat sailing, and to have it represented at the Olympics, to now know that you could go and win yourself a medal is really exciting.
Yeah, I guess it must be. Well, let's talk about the big boats then, because the ocean race, as we now call it, formerly the Volvo Ocean Race, that's changed too, isn't it? We've got the next edition in 2021-22, is that right?
Yes, that's right. So starting in October 2021, and the plan is that there'll be 2 fleets. They'll reuse the Volvo 65s, which were used in the last race. And the emphasis on those boats is very much a youth crew. So there will be a number of experienced people on board, but the majority of the crew have to be under 30 and some under 26. So that'll be great in terms of bringing, younger people through and getting them along that pathway into that race, which was always kind of a little bit reserved for experienced people and generally older people. So I think that's a good move to bring in younger people. And then there'll be the IMOCA 60s, which will be the, if you like, the more professional angle of the race, where teams will have to design and build their own boat. They'll be crewed with a crew of around 5. So yeah, it's going to be very interesting to see how it unfolds.
So just looking back then to 2019, how many countries did you actually visit with all your sailing?
Ooh, I'm going to stab at about 10.
Okay. and any highlights, any special moments there, and memories that will stick with you for 2019?
Oh, there's been so many. No, I think maybe one of the highlights was going back to Cape Town. I just love the city of Cape Town. I'd only ever really been there as, stopping there as part of the Volvo Ocean Race. So to actually go back there and sail inshore and not be, leaving on a boat to go to the Southern Ocean for 3 weeks was quite a novel experience, and really nice to actually suck up the surroundings and really enjoy the city. And it is a fantastic city, and I think that would be my standout for the year.
So were you sailing into it or out of it? Which journey was that?
I was racing in Cape Town, so it was we were doing a regatta there, so just short day racing, and I got to go ashore and enjoy the city during the evenings.
Perfect. How do you get these rides and races, Abby? How do they come about?
It's a good question, and it's sailing is very much a network-driven environment. A lot of the rides that I have achieved this year have come about through just contacts that I know, people that I've had a relationship with for many years in the past, and either they're looking for someone for a particular role on a boat, which you have the skill set to match, or there's a weight limit to meet. So yeah, I think I can't emphasize that enough to people that are coming up through the sport, is that networking is critical. You've got to grow your networks and nourish those networks, because it is, unfortunately or fortunately, whichever way you look at it, a very network driven sport.
I can imagine it would be, and it is what you know, but it's also who you know.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Well, let's also talk about the Magenta Project, Abby, because of course we partner with you with the Sailing Show, as well as you being a WiSP ambassador, and we follow a little bit about what the Magenta Project is doing. But what do you feel that it's achieved this year, and what are you looking forward to with it next year?
This year we had 3, if you like, standalone projects that we ran. I mean, the big aim of the project is really about creating opportunities for women in sailing, and more so towards the professional end of the sport, or to try and find that pathway into the professional end of the sport. We did some training days at yacht clubs or sailing clubs throughout the UK. We did around about 8 of those. So probably, a total of 150 women dotted throughout the UK, had a day of coaching with using the club's keel boats or owners' keel boats, and so that was fantastic, just to see these women-only events where it just gives the ladies a chance to build confidence in roles that perhaps they're not used to doing in a mixed environment. And building confidence in themselves, and some great teams have been formed. So that's been a great achievement in collaboration with the Royal Yachting Association, which is our governing body of the sport in the UK. We've run a mentoring program, which is aimed at younger women who are trying to find their way in the sport, and that's has a global reach. So we have mentees all across the globe, from the US, Australia, Europe, and we've matched them with sports people, sailors, or industry leaders. So that's now in its 2nd year, and that just kicked off in September. So that's fully underway and seeing some great results. And we've run a clinic, a training clinic in France, which was run in the Beneteau Figaros, which is the boat used on the sort of solo sailing circuit, which is so popular out of France. And I think we put about 25 women went through that course, and that was helped by OC Hub, which is a French sort of training hub, if you like, in the north of France. Sam Davies came along and helped, and a number of other people helped with that event. So that was really, really successful. And all of those 3 events that I've mentioned, we're hoping to repeat next year.
Any new initiatives for next year, Abby?
We've definitely got our thinking caps on at the moment, and we'll use the winter to plot some more plans. I think that the biggest thing that holds us back is finance. We're still, as a charity organisation, trying to raise ourselves finance or seed funding to keep the project going and to run these programs. So that's our biggest kind of goal, if you like. In light of the World Sailing Trust report that went out recently, which was the result of a big survey that was done about women in sailing, and it went out to a number of people that are involved in sport, men and women, and the findings of that is that there is a huge amount of gender discrimination in the sport, and so we'll really be, as the project, will be trying to delve into the whys and the hows, and to see what we can do to make things better in our sport going forward.
And how about next year for you? What does 2020 hold?
2020. At the moment, I'm I'll be working again with Sail GP on the shore side of that, within the broadcast section. So continue on with that. Some TP52 sailing and some other sailing yet to be determined or confirmed.
Right.
But
Right.
yeah, but and alongside the Magenta Project, coaching and training days. So yeah, all go.
Yeah, and if it's anything like 2019, there'll be some surprises too, things that you
Well,
weren't expecting.
yeah. Well, hopefully some nice surprises.
Yeah,
Um,
and looking ahead to the ocean race, I think you told me last time we talked about it that was not on your agenda to do another ocean race around the world.
yeah.
Has that changed?
Oh. I was adamant that I would never, I wouldn't do one again, and but I've been tempted.
Ah,
I don't know what it is. There really is. There's a saying that Sir Peter Blake said, which was, the race, it gets in your blood, and it really is. I can't explain what it is. It draws me back, and having just sailed this boat back from France, it was really good fun. It just is a different element of sailing. It's kind of a little bit next level, a fun project to be part of. So we shall see. We'll see what unfolds.
Okay, because that last time we talked about it, it was when you had just finished and you said, okay, not again. But of course, things change, as you said. You mentioned that coming back from Brazil, you sailed a 60. So for those who are not familiar with all of these boat types, I do know the VO65 that you sailed in for the Volvo Ocean Race. Is it close to that?
So yeah, I mean, if you were to look at the Volvo 65 and compare it to the car world, that would probably be your Hummer of the car world. I mean, it's pretty indestructible. Whereas the Open 60 or the IMOCA 60, it's probably more closer to the Formula One. It's extremely light. It's fast. And it really is kind of at the cutting edge of technology, whereas the Volvo 65 was built specifically to have two races in it. So they're different beasts completely.
Different beasts. Okay, well that's good to know. Thanks. That's a description we can understand. The difference between Formula One and a Hummer. Big difference.
A fast Hummer.
Awesome. Yeah, a fast Hummer at that. That's for sure. Yes. Well, obviously 2020 is an Olympic year as well. Any predictions there?
Not really. No, I have to say I don't really follow it closely enough to be able to give predictions. I think it will, again, it's the countries that have shone in sailing will be predominant again. So probably no real changes in the countries, but I couldn't say about the people.
Okay, but you do follow your old sport of triathlon, do you?
From a distance.
A little bit?
Yeah.
From a distance, okay. Still not going to get back to that, but of course we've got some good British triathletes as well who could well be in Tokyo. So
right,
it's going to be an exciting year one way or another, Abby. So thank you for taking time to come on and do a little review of 2019, and we'll look out for you in 2020. Now we know that you're going to be aiming for that ocean race again. We'll keep an eye on things.
Wow, never say never.
Never say never. Okay. All right. Well, we will see you back in January 2020 on the Sailing Show in partnership with the Magenta Project. But for now, have a wonderful holiday season, Abby, and thank you so much. We really enjoy our partnership with you, and thank you for being a WiSP ambassador and all you do as a role model for women in sailing.
Thank you, Chris. It's been really enjoyable, and all the best to you for Christmas, and catch up with you in the new year.
Happy holidays from WiSP Sports.
My thanks again to Abby, and we look forward to following her in 2020. You can also hear reviews from some of our other ambassadors, from Irish motor racing driver Nicole Drought, Irish hockey player Nikki Daly, and Canadian squash player Sam Cornett. That's all in this special holiday series here on WiSP Sports. Of course, it's wherever you get your podcast. Just look for WiSP Sports or online at wisports.com. And be sure to check out the show notes accompanying this episode on the website at wisports.com, because that's where you'll find links to the athletes' social media. And I do hope you'll take a moment to support them too and follow them on social media. Thank you for listening and supporting women in sport everywhere as we go into an Olympic year. We really do appreciate your support here at WiSP Sports. So thank you for listening and have a wonderful holiday season.